Jelcher. He's my favourite, the 21-year-old, now coached by Alberto Salazar over in Portland, Oregon, the world indoor champion this year in Birmingham, retaining his title from Portland. He's in great form. Fabulous 3,000 in Gothenburg just a couple of weeks back. Indeed, it was the fastest 3,000 for 7 years on the world scene. Edris, we saw just then, the world champion from last year, but he hasn't had a great season. He's raced very sparingly. Ben True, dangerous, the American, in slow races. His last track race was the London 10 near 5,000 when he finished in 10th place. Mo Ahmed of Canada, 4th in Rio over 5,000 metres, the Canadian. Slightly underrated, really, Ahmed. He's the Commonwealth silver medalist at 10,000. He's had a really good season. But the camera's focusing on Barega, who is the second fastest in the world this year. The best 4 times of this season have come in Lausanne. You remember that race a few weeks back where there were some weird goings on over the last couple of laps, and Bailey came out on top with 13.01. But will we see a sub-13 clocking here tonight? I doubt it somehow. The pacemakers are going out at almost exactly 13-minute tempo. So, will they make this an aggressive one? Will it be one of those desperately tight tactical races where there's a burn-up over the last 2 or 3 laps, or even a shorter distance? Kazi it is, who's the first pacemaker. He's due to get to 1,000 in 2:35. That is quick. That would be a 12:50 pace, in fact, or 12:55 pace. Letting in second place will be the second pacemaker, and then Mburu, the third pacemaker. They're really laying it on thick here tonight to try and perhaps, Steve, at last get a sub-13-minute clocking. And it is pretty tasty early on, because look at this, 300 metres gone, and it's almost single file. Ben True back in about, what, 12th place in that green strip for the USA. Kazi letting Mburu, and then the rest of them going through 400 metres. And it is a little optimistic, that. It's about 58.5, 59 seconds at 400.
Crazy first lap. You know, they wanted to try and run about 62s. That was the target. So he's it'll settle down, but it's never a good way to start the race when you run the first 400 meters just, you know, a couple of seconds quicker than you really want to. Yeah, Barega's not been running well recently. He was only 4th in a slow run championship at the African Championships. Off to the pole vault, though. This is Lisek. First attempt, 5:78 the bar at now. Oh, that's good. Well, he's joining the party here. I can tell you that Duplantis has decided to pass at this height as well, as indeed has Le Villani. So I think there's just so many men involved here that they're just wanting to wait and gamble a little bit and see whether or not they can come back in when it gets up to the 580s. So Lisek going clear. Nicely done. A little bit of room to spare there. And it's good to get first-time clearances in at this stage of the competition. Puts him 4th at the moment. Now, this is Morganov, this exciting Russian. Only 21 as well. We talk about the 18-year-old Duplantis, but this guy's got real talent. I like his technique. Again, very smooth. That's a nice clearance, isn't it? 5:78 for him. He's only had 3 vaults all night. He's been clear on each one. 5:53 first time, 5:68 first time, and now at 5:78. If anything, he's looked the best. Doesn't matter what you do early on, though. It's what you do at the sharp end of the evening that counts. He won in the station the other night in front of about 5,000 people in the main station in Zurich. It wasn't the Diamond League final, but most of the guys were there, including Sam Kendricks. So 5:78 for Kendricks. That's good. Yeah, he looks on it tonight as well, doesn't he? As I said, this could go on, and we're not going to complain. So he goes clear. 5:78, Morganov clear. Kendricks is clear. Lisek is clear. Le Villani passing. Duplantis passing. Lots more to come in this pole vault. Oh, plenty of banter. Now the bar up to 583. Barber. He's had more vaults, as I said earlier, than anybody else this evening. Oh, he's done it again. The first to go clear at 583. He had a failure at 578, passed at that. So he only had 2 attempts at this height. Well, he doesn't need them, just needs 1. Shaughnessy Barber, he's found some really good form. I was saying earlier, right at the good part of the season for him. He's making a little bit hard work of it. Others are clearing with a little bit to spare, but that doesn't matter. It goes down as a 0. Nice little round figure in the 583 column. There it is, green, he's over. Well, that's a good gamble paid off for him.
All the expected main protagonists are up there. Indeed, they're ahead of schedule, these athletes. They went through 4 laps in around 4:35. And they're operating at around 61.5, 62 seconds per lap. And Birr, remember, is a pacemaker. Letting is dropping out now. He's done his job. Hadis is right up there as well. Hadis, who was 3rd in Lausanne in that very fast race in Switzerland. Kejelcha was urging a quicker pace after 2.5 laps. He's the loping figure, tallest in the field in 3rd place. Looks very comfortable, doesn't he? We know he's in supreme form after that 7:28 in Gothenburg a couple of weeks back. And he may indeed be up for a sub-13 clocking here tonight. Edris is there as well, the reigning world champion. Chalimo of the USA, the Olympic silver medalist, too, is to the fore.
Well, the bar's gone to 2:35, and Przybylko, if he wants to win, has to clear this at his 3rd attempt. He and Brandon Stark went clear at 2:33, but Stark only took 2 attempts. So to keep it going, no. Well, it's still been a good competition. The German, who had such a great night in Berlin. Another good performance here, takes 2nd spot in the men's high jump. And that leaves just 1 left. That's the Commonwealth champion. So the European champion settles for 2nd. The Commonwealth champion knows he's got this one now. His last attempt at 2:35. 1 centimetre below the new record he set just a matter of days ago in Germany. So Brandon Stark, 3rd attempt, 2:35. Attacking it. No. Well, that wasn't their best attempt. Didn't need it, though. He knew he had the competition won. And that's a great way to end the season. A couple of great bookends to a season. A Commonwealth title in April in front of a home crowd. And then the Diamond League title at the end of August in Brussels. Gets a hug from a Smurf as well. What more could you want? Stark wins it. Przybylko 2nd, Tamberi 3rd.
It's beginning to break up here in the 5,000 metres. The early pace was almost suicidally fast, and it put the cat amongst the pigeons a bit. That first kilometre was at 2:31. The 2nd kilometre, wait for it, was about a 2:40. They went through 2K in 5:11. So back on reasonable schedule, I suppose you could say, but it's not the easiest way to get to 2,000 in 5:11. And Birr, the 3rd pacemaker, still at the front. Kejelcha in 2nd place, loping along behind him, looking very comfortable. Barega, the 18-year-old, moves wide now. In the orange is Edris, the reigning world champion. And then behind them is Hadis. And then there's a bit of a gap back to the rest of them. Edris, in fact, in the white, back in what, about 5th place at the moment, as Birr drops his side. It's Kejelcha, Barega in 1st and 2nd. And these 3 just beginning to move away now.
2:33 for that kilometre, Tim. Picked up again, that's fast, and it's a little bit cat and mouse, but I think they've been working together to keep this moving, and it's good to see Barega in there. I said earlier on, he hasn't been running particularly well in the sort of middle part of the season, but these 3 great, talented men, and Kejelcha is going for it. Duplantis then, 5:83. Seen others go clear, needs to get this. No. Well, he took the gamble, and he was nowhere near that one, really, was he? 5:78, he passed 5:73 as well. First attempt that was at 5:83. Two more attempts for the European champion.
Well, it was 8:45 as they went through the line just now with 4 laps to run. Cajelcha leading from Barega and Gebriwet. Gebriwet having his best run of the year. Second in the World Championships back in 2013. Bronze medalist in Rio. But he's a shadow of himself. In 2012, 6 years ago, he ran 12:47. This year, his best time before tonight, 13:16. He looks supercharged tonight as Gebriwet in 3rd place. And Cajelcha now beginning to turn the screw. World champion Edris has been feeling the pressure this last couple of laps. He's dropped back, he's in 4th place, and the gap is growing all the time. Ben True leading a chasing pack there with the Canadian Mohamed right behind him. McSwain is there too, Stewie McSwain of Australia, the Commonwealth steeplechase bronze medalist. He's had a wonderful season, but perhaps this is one race too many for him as they come down below us now. Cajelcha, Barega, and looking strong still in 3rd place, Gebriwet, Steve. This is almost a deja vu thing to 3 or 4 years ago, really, but Cajelcha, I just feel, is in control.
2-1 for the last 800 metres, Tim. They're running hard, they're running fast, pace picking up, pace staying quick, and he's taking it to them here. He must be so confident about his shape and his ability, because I think normally he'd be happy to kind of wait. Doesn't always judge his sprint finish as well as others, but he's got pace at the end, but he's going for it tonight. He really is setting his stall out. Barega hanging in there, Gebriwet, as you were saying, having a great race. Edris tried to make a move to get back to these, but at the pace they're running, you got no chance. You're going to have to run 59-second laps to get back to them.
Well, that was a 2:31, that 4th kilometre. They've really laid it on thick. 10:15 at 4 kilometres for this trio. I'd like to say they're working together, but it's Cajelcha who's doing all the work. He's acting almost as a pacemaker for Barega and Gebriwet at the moment. The 3 Ethiopians are what? Probably 30, 35 metres clear of Edris in 4th place. They go through now with 2 laps to run. It's around 10:46. Well, we haven't seen a sub 13-minute clocking yet this year, but they could virtually jog home and do it here tonight. It's been spectacular, the second half of this race, after some varying pacing over the early laps. But Steve, Cajelcha still looks relatively easy. He keeps glancing over his shoulder out of the corner of his eye to see what sort of damage he's doing.
Well, if you run under 12:50 or around 12:50, you go on the all-time list of the top 20, and they're not going to be that far away from that. I think they're going to be well inside 30 minutes. It depends on whether they can lift it again. And with 3 people there, one of them you think is going to manage to find something on the last lap, because they're coming around with just 500 meters to go. And this is superb running from Cajelcha, but he would not have expected him, I don't think, to have 2 people still with him at this pace. Not Barega and Gebriwet. I think he would have thought he'd be away and gone at this point. Here we go.
Just over a lap to run then. Cajelcha through the line. Here's that bell, but he's got company. Barega, the 18-year-old, Selemon Barega. He knows about Barega, does Cajelcha. He had to run hard to beat him at the World Indoors this year. They were 1st and 2nd in Birmingham, over 3,000 metres in that World Indoors. Now, at last, Gebriwet beginning to find it hard. Cajelcha out in front is grimacing, but look at young Barega bouncing on his feet. His toes just kissing the ground. He looks easy. No grimacing from him there. Look at Cajelcha working really hard from this one. And Barega gets his head down. 150 to run, and the gap is opening up. Who'd have believed this? This is Cajelcha territory. Normally he'd be doing this to the opposition. We know he's in supreme shape, the man in 2nd place, but he has indeed been a wonderful pacemaker for this astonishing youngster through the second half of the race. Barega, 25 metres clear. Cajelcha's going to finish in 3rd as Gebriwet comes through, but watch the clock. It's so fast. 12:43.02. That is way up there on the all-time list. Indeed, it's the 4th fastest time in history. That is quite astonishing. I was looking at how many sub-13 clockings there have been over the years, and you have to go back to 2012, 2011, and that sort of era to find double figures of athletes going under 13 minutes. Nobody had done it before tonight. Now he has done it in spectacular style, and he takes the win, does young Selemon Barega. Gebriwet 12:45. It's a world junior record, by the way, Steve just pointing out to me quite rightly. 12:45 for Gebriwet, that's a personal best. He's back. Cajelcha 12:46, a personal best for him. He worked so hard for that. But that is one of the greatest 5,000 metres we've seen for many years, and it'll certainly feature in the top 5 or 6 all time. A Diamond League record for Selemon Barega. And the rest of the field spread-eagled in the wake of that astonishing mid-race pace laid down by the eventual 3rd place here, Yomif Cajelcha.
Well, we haven't seen a race like that since that race in Paris in 2012 when a few of these guys, well, Gebriwet certainly, that was astonishing. The manner of that last lap, how he conducted himself in terms of not just the speed, but as you were saying, Tim, how relaxed he looked. I remember remarking at the indoor season at the beginning of the year, I was asked to pick out somebody to watch over the next 2 or 3 years, and this is the guy I picked. I'm not kind of saying that I'm clever, because I think a lot of people were saying...
We can check that, Steve.
Oh, you can. It was on television at the time. And said that this was somebody who... You know, he's just strong, you know, for someone of his age. He's got pace. He's not super fast, but that tonight, it was just something extra. And who am I? You know, I was kind of saying he was only 4th at the African Championships in a slow run race. Not a great performance. He's had a couple of indifferent races in the middle of the season, but goodness me, that was incredible.
Well, it was
so quick. I'm just trying to work out what the last lap was, but it was under 60 seconds for the last lap.
And to his credit, he looks 18, this lad. I'm afraid there is a bit of a history when you look at distance running of many of the lads who claim to be 17, 18, 19, and they look fully 6 or 8 years older, and in the past some of them have been proven to be just that. But Selemon Barega there with 12:43.02 comes the 4th fastest man in history. It was an Ethiopian 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What dominance from them. Astonishing run and a